Battle through the firmament. Grand world. Chapter 400 Meet. What did you say? Guyuan and Zhu Kun were both stunned when they heard this. It took them a long time before they could speak with a trembling voice. To them, this news was a complete fantasy, and they couldn't believe it no matter what. Seeing their reaction, Xiaoyan let out a light sigh. After pondering for a moment, he told them everything that Xiao Wang had said, including the rupture of the spatial zone that led to the fighting Dao Qi continent, the investment of the souls of many major powers, and the battle that involved the entire world. Saint Heaven Realm. Gu Clan. Guyuan opened his mouth. It was a long time before he spat out these words with a bitter mouth. He was stunned for a moment, then he stood up slowly and paced back and forth, showing the suffering in his heart. Compared to Guyuan, Zhu Kun did not have a very intense reaction. However, he also sat on the stone bench and did not say anything. He fell into deep thought, and no one knew what he was thinking about. Father. Looking at Guyuan who was walking around, Xiaoyan could not help but say. When he first heard about this, his heart was filled with shock and disbelief. It was hard to imagine, not to mention Guyuan. He was afraid that even if it was the inheritance of the Gu clan from generation to generation, there was no such information. Humph. Guyuan stopped when he heard Xiaoyan's voice. He took a deep breath and said with a complicated expression, what you said is indeed possible. In the history of the continent, the Gu clan had declined several times. A few times of prosperity. It is said that the Son of Heaven is a minister of the generation. This sentence is also suitable in the family. As far as I know, the last time the Gu clan was flourishing was during the time of ancient monarch Tuo Shi. The person who revitalized the Gu clan is my grandfather. He has a lot of historical records. There are only some remnants left. After saying that, the pain in Guyuan's eyes faded. He looked at Xiaoyan and said in a deep voice, this way, only your explanation can make sense. No one in the 8 major families knew the origin of the fighting Dao Qi continent. In other words, the 8 major families didn't exist since the beginning of the continent, but before the 8 major families. Perhaps, this is the reason why the 8 major families suddenly appeared on the continent. As the patriarch of the Gu clan, Guyuan had a much more comprehensive view of the problem than Xiaoyan. After some thought, he quickly figured out the approximate reason. Guyuan is right. Zhu Kun also stood up with a solemn expression. He agreed with Guyuan's words. If it wasn't for this reason, why would the 8 major families suddenly appear in fighting Dao Qi continent? According to what you said, the heavenly demon phoenix, the 9 serene deep ground python and the other major families were also created by the soul bodies of the great worlds. After a pause, Zhu Kun suddenly spoke. Since the ancient void dragon race was born from the soul bodies of the great worlds, the other 2 devil beast clans that shared the same name as the ancient void dragon race should be the same. I'm not sure, but it's also possible. Xiaoyan shook his head and said. He recalled Kalen's true form, the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python. He had once seen the bones of the ancient heavenly snake, but he didn't know if the ancestors of these 2 kinds of devil beast were also from the great world. This is really interesting. Zhu Kun laughed out loud when he heard this. Both of his eyes suddenly burst out with an extremely dazzling light. After that, he looked at Guyuan and said in a clear voice, I have a goal now. Once I break through to the Monarch Emperor, I will go to Spirit Domain and look for the Dark Flame Ancient Dragon Race. I want to see if what Xiaoyan said is true. Xiaoyan didn't say anything after hearing this. Deep in his heart, he felt some rejection towards the Xiao clan in the great world. Zhu Kun, on the other hand, seemed to have some expectations for the Dark Flame Ancient Dragon Race. Divine Sky Realm. I will also make a trip there in the future. With the status of a member of the Gu clan in fighting Dao Qi continent, at the very least, I need to know who founded the Gu clan in fighting Dao Qi continent. Guyuan said in a soft voice. There was an unerasable solemnity between his brows. Xiaoyan naturally had no right to stop the 2 of them from making a decision. He nodded silently and did not say anything else. After that, the three of them drank a few more cups of wine. However, it was obvious that Zhu Kun and Gu Yuan did not have the mood to continue chatting after hearing this explosive news. A moment later, they bid farewell hastily. Although they said it in a relaxed manner, both of their hearts were extremely perturbed. They needed to calm down and think about it. After sending Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun away, Xiaoyan remained silent. He stood silently on the summit of Heavenly Peak for a long time. It was only after Zuna and Kalen came out of the Spirit Origin formation that Xiaoyan reacted. He carried the two girls into the courtyard, and naturally, there would be a night of lasciviousness. The next day, Xiaoyan got up early and bid farewell to the two girls. The fire wings behind him flapped and soared into the sky, rushing towards the large hall where Su Jiang was. Ugh! Zuna softly sighed when she saw Xiaoyan leave in a hurry. Her eyebrows were slightly knitted, causing one to feel a tender affection when looking at her. Husband Xiaoyan, left again. Zuna pouted slightly. There was a trace of loneliness on her face. She remembered the few years when she was carefree in fighting Daoqi continent. At that time, Xiaoyan was always by her side. It was like a dream. A trace of grief also surged into Kalen's cold and elegant brows, and then it disappeared without a trace. She gently patted Zuna's shoulder, and for a moment she did not know what to say. It's fine, Sister Lin, after husband Xiaoyan finishes participating in the 4 academies competition, there will be no more problems. Zuna smiled sweetly and said in a gentle voice. That won't do, we can't just wait like this. This fellow has already far surpassed us. It really pisses me off. A trace of a smile flashed across Kalen's beautiful eyes when she heard this. Then, she pretended to be angry. Let's go, Zuna, let's go and cultivate. As she spoke, Kalen pulled Zuna and walked towards the spiritual source array. Zuna stuck out her tongue and consciously followed. There were not many people in the technique impartation square in the early morning. Only a few students who woke up early were walking in a hurry, carrying questions that they did not understand as they walked towards the hall of different elders. The 3 students walked over from afar. When they entered the technique impartation square, they were surprised to see Wu Shaoqi, who had already entered the realm in Valley, standing together with the young man named Zhu Tianhou. Beside them, a young man with a cold expression crossed his arms across his chest. The qi that emanated from him made the faces of the 3 pale. It's Senior Wu. Didn't she enter the realm in Valley? Why is she here? And that Zhu Tianhou, he is actually with Senior Wu. When the 3 students saw this, they muttered to themselves in shock. That bastard Xiaoyan, why hasn't he come yet? I must tell Zuna and Kalen that I can't let this guy take advantage of me anymore. Wu Shaoqi was wearing a black dress that perfectly propped up her impressive figure. Her legs were long and slender and her long hair was casually draped over her shoulders. She looked rather free and at ease. After waiting for a long time and not seeing Xiaoyan, Wu Shaoqi lightly snorted and muttered discontentedly. When Zhu Tianhou heard this, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly, but he did not say anything. What did she mean by taking advantage of others? Xiaoyan had already said that they were already husband and wife. Wu Shaoqi's thoughts were really, all of you are here. I'm sorry, I woke up a little late. While Zhu Tianhou was feeling helpless in his heart, Xiaoyan's voice suddenly rang out and quickly fell in front of the 3 of them. Pervert, what did you do last night? Why did you wake up late? Wu Shaoqi looked at Xiaoyan with disdain, but the corner of her mouth raised into a smile. Xiaoyan was stunned by Wu Shaoqi's question. He smiled bitterly in his heart and did not know how to answer. Let's go. Seeing that Xiaoyan had come, Lin Dao expressionlessly glanced at the former and said in a cold voice. After saying that, he walked towards Su Jiang's main hall. Lin Dao spoke. Wu Shaoqi did not dare to argue with Xiaoyan again and hurriedly followed. Xiaoyan let out a soft sigh and walked towards Su Jiang's main hall with Zhu Tianhou. That is Xiaoyan. Did he just fly over? Seeing the 4 of them walking towards a large hall in the deepest part of the hall, The three students could not help but be dumbfounded. He could fly. In other words, Xiaoyan was already a monarch emperor level expert, but in just a year's time, he actually had such a huge breakthrough. If it was said that the captain of punishment department, Lu Xiangyang, had the ability to fight Xiaoyan a year ago, he was now completely left behind. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.